Hi guys, this is Zach from Watches on You, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the new Longines Skin Diver. So this was a new addition to the Longines Heritage Collection, where they're kind of incorporating many of kind of their past models and just historically, they're just basically historic recreations of past Longines models. And I really love what they've been doing lately with this collection. And I really love these new skin divers as well. So first off, I'm going to go over the case. So I'll just set this one down in here. These are the exact same watches, by the way. This one's just on the rubber strap, and this one's on the leather. I'll just use the leather one, or actually I'll use the rubber one for the purpose just of going over the watch itself. So the case on this watch, as you can see, is stainless steel. It's a 42mm case. It's got polished stainless steel on the sides, brushed on the top, and then you have a polished case back. And then on the front here, you also get a black PVD DLC coated steel bezel, which I don't really have a huge problem with at all. I mean, you're not really going to expect them to be doing ceramic bezel price point, so I think it's good and I like the look of it. It's very much in the style of the original Skin Divers, which I really like. It's nice and thin, very low profile, which I think is great. You also have a pretty heavily domed crystal, and it's actually more of kind of a boxed crystal. It's not really, I guess, sloping as much as it is kind of has sharp corners, but then pops up a lot, which I really like as well, because that kind of harkens back again to the original I guess crystals on these watches when they were originally being made. The crystal itself, though, is sapphire. I don't know if you can hear it, but it does not sound like acrylic, definitely. So you do have a sapphire crystal on this timepiece. And you can see on the dial here now, the dial is kind of a black textured dial. It's kind of a, I guess, a sandblasted finish on the dial here, and then you have faux patina indexes going all the way, or indices going all the way around, including on the bezel. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of the faux patina. I think it's a bit dark, and I think Longines has been going a little bit overboard on some of their faux patinas lately. But I don't think it's a huge problem on this. I do like the look of it. I just personally typically will prefer heritage watches that have white lume like the originals would have had from the factory. So now I'll go over the movement. So the movement is the Longines L888, and it is an ETA-made movement, but it is solely for Longines. No other manufacturer can use the movement, and it's got a 64-hour power reserve, which I think is fantastic. It's automatic winding. Not going to have a problem with it whatsoever. So now let's do the bezel. So the bezel is a 120-click diving bezel, unidirectional, which is great. Definitely capable for diving. You really have no problems with bezel. It's nice and clicky. Very little shake on the lockup, and it's going to definitely serve you very well. So now I'll show you the case back a little bit. So I just mentioned it earlier that it is polished, but you can see that you have a little diver right there with a harpoon, and then just as the Longines Skin Diver watch, which is pretty cool there. So now let's put it on the wrist. So the whole point of the Skin Divers was really meant to be thin dive watches, because at the time they didn't really have the resources for the super deep, getting very deep diving watches with thin case profiles. So the Skin Divers are really lower water resistance dive watches that would just be made for mainly really free diving. So I really like how they kept that with this. It has a very slim profile, and I really love the look of this watch. The 42mm case size is obviously larger than it would have been at the time that this was manufactured. I don't think it's a huge problem, though, and due to the longer, I guess, lugs, it kind of wears, I guess, in a more conservative profile. Now, if you have small wrists, you might have a problem with those longer lugs, because they will then start to stick over the edge of your wrist. But if you have I have about a 7 1/4 inch wrist, so if you have about my wrist size and up, I think this watch is going to look great, and it's not going to look like a watch that's oversized. The longer lugs definitely make it look better, like the proportions of the watch I think look a lot better. So this is the rubber band version, and you can see that it has kind of the vintage style rubber strap. These are really what these would have come on, and I think it looks great. It's got the very retro style. You can see it's got the holes through it, and then on the case back you have them as well. And those will also be good to keep it comfortable, as they allow some airflow in between your wrist and the strap. This leather strap option is also very great. The leather is extremely soft, and I really like the feel of it. It's nice black soft leather on the outside, and then black soft black leather on the inside, and then tan leather on the outside. Again, very soft, very supple, and it's going to be very comfortable as well. And I like the buckles on these watches, as they're a little bit more unique than your typical standard pin buckle by having that kind of engraving on it and the emblem. So these watches overall are coming in at a price of $2,600, which I think is actually pretty good. I mean, the movement you're getting with these watches it's pretty much an in-house movement. I mean, no one else is using it besides Longines. It's made exclusively for them, and Longines is part of the same company technically as ETA, as they're both Swatch Group brands. So the value you're actually getting with this, I think, is really good. And when you compare it against some watches like the Oris Diver 65, which I believe is about $2,300, or I believe $2,150, if I'm correct there, this watch, I think, offers a lot of value. I think you're getting a little bit more bang for your buck with this watch. The movement in this is definitely better. It's going to be finished better than the Oris. So I think that this really provides a nice value option if you're looking for a dive watch. And again, I mean, it's not a cheap watch. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying in the kind of more entry-level luxury timepieces, I think that this offers you a lot of value for your money. So thank you guys for watching this video. I'd like to mention that this watch was lent to us by JB Hudson Jewelers in Minneapolis, Minnesota for the purpose of this review. Again, thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Thanks.